What is up, guys? My name is Chris Sheldon. I'm a first season Cat 5 crit racer based out of Northwest Arkansas, cycling for BMC Walmart Cycling. And today I'm going to be taking through my Tulsa Tough Crybaby Hill Cat 5 crit race. Awesome race here today, and was an amazing event put on by St. Francis and Tulsa Tough. Really enjoyed it. This course was incredibly punishing, a lot of fun, talented Cat 5 racers, even some guys all the way from Cincinnati coming down to do this race. You can see them on screen here, team of 2, but a big old field here, not too crazy, but 19 riders, dropped down from like the 28 or 30 we had yesterday, so I guess people weren't really interested in racing the Crybaby Hill. It is an absolute watt bomb every single lap. But to quickly kind of walk you through the rest of this field, so like I just said, field size of 19 riders, only about 7 of us actually finished without getting lapped. We actually double lapped most of the field, and you can see early on with the power numbers why that was the case. Really just a brutal race. Even right now, as I'm recording this at 10 a.m., the heat index was 102 with a perceived temperature of 92. So already really hot. I have no idea how the racers later in the day managed to take care of the heat. But just to give you a quick idea of what my race plan is going into this race. First thing, and this doesn't exactly go according to plan, but my plan was to sag the climb, to always try and take the front going into the Crybaby Hill, making sure that I had control of the race and that people had to come around me to make sure I won the race. Second was to survive. Having done yesterday racing with these guys, I knew I was one of the stronger riders coming into today, but I also knew that I didn't have the fitness to really just like outpower these guys, and so my goal was just to get to the final lap and still be with the main group. And then lastly was be the first into the last corner. So as you're seeing right here, this is Crybaby Hill's downhill section, which overall is pretty easy and pretty ripping, but in the Cat 5 field, we never really took it that fast, but that doesn't mean that I took it very well at all. As you can see, you can carry a lot of momentum here, and I was just a little chicken and holding the brakes, and every time that cost me a big watt bomb trying to get back onto the field. Definitely something I'm going to be looking to improving as I continue to race the rest of the season, is my cornering and my general bike handling ability. But like I said, those are the 3 steps. We're trying to sag the climbs. We're just trying to get through this race, trying to sit in as much as possible. And then lastly, be the last to that final corner. But as we jump into this race, you'll quickly see that, you know, we're taking it hot that first lap. We did almost 700 watts going up the initial punch of Crybaby Hill, almost averaging 480 watts for that entire climb. And as you can see, I'm already breaking my race plan. In lieu of sitting in like I said I would, I am now almost, you can see almost 15 feet back from the front rider. So even though I'm doing this almost 800 watt effort to get up this hill, I'm having to make up ground and do more work than I had to in the first place. And so this is really going to cost me over time as I continue to not take these turns particularly well. And as I go here, oof, you see me, I try and move up on the right side and get banged into the barriers. Managed to survive, managed to keep it upright, but you can see already on lap 2, we're already really taking this seriously. People are fighting for position. That was his teammate fighting for his teammate's wheel, but managed to keep it upright, and we're A-okay. Now I want you to really watch as we go into this next turn. What's really important here is I'm a heavier rider, and so you can see without really putting down any power, I can fly by these guys. But this Bike Mart OKC Velo rider was just deciding to drill it for what felt like no reason, making it hard. I mean, maybe he just really liked his chances in this race. Dude consistently would just attack at the randomest moments, really kept the race hard and really made it challenging to move up at kind of opportune times. As you can see here, the field really just takes off, pulling the brakes almost the entire way. If you watch my right-hand brake lever, you can actually see the moment we start pulling the brakes on this downhill. So you can see right now, they're already pulling the brakes. I'm about to run into this guy's wheel. But it's a really challenging course overall. And so this is the problem with my race, and you'll see it repeated, is that I'm still pulling the brake levers as we're coming around this corner. And every time I'm losing 5, 10, 15 feet off the wheel, and I'm unable to take that turn smoothly like I really should have been, like the rest of these riders are. And, you know, one effort like that doesn't feel like a lot, but when you do that lap over lap over lap, you're going to see that the energy you have for the rest of the time, you just don't have it. And it's one less time that I can go up Crybaby Hill. And y'all are going to see that as we kind of fast forward, that it is just one lap that makes the difference and one gap in power that causes the problem. But Let's just do one more lap around the course as we're watching this so we can kind of see how these laps are playing out. As you can see, on lap 3, I start to kind of move up, trying to get myself going. I'm at least farther to the front than I was before. But like you can see, still a huge gap separating me from the front, almost 5-10 feet. And you really have to work hard to overcome that gap as you go up, working way harder than I would have if I had just sat in the front, like I told myself I would. And then you can see we're really bunched up now, so we still got a ton of riders. This field really thins out as time goes on, but you got to really fight for space. This one felt a little sketchy, really sitting next to people, really getting close. But as they say, Robin's racing, and so I was working really hard to make sure I kept my space and kept my lane, and it all works out. No one crashed. Shockingly enough, in the Cat 5 race on either day, no one went down, which is extremely not Cat 5, and especially across all the other races, there was a crash in essentially every other field of the race that I watched. I think all the way down into the women's pro race and men's, every single race I think had a crash except for Cat 5, which is kind of shocking. Right here, you're going to hear me yell, get cut off by this guy, takes a really aggressive line, and probably shouldn't have. You hear me yelling at him here. Really just an unsafe line, just not really aware of what's going on, but managed to notice it happening and pulled the brakes, keeping it safe. So I got to put in a big effort here just to close the gap and get up to speed. Now I managed to sit in 4th wheel, and like I said, the goal here would have been first to the corner, but because of that cutoff, I wasn't able to execute that plan. But as you can see, going into the end of lap 3, still not taking this corner particularly well. I'm turning a little inside too much. I hit the manhole cover, take some speed off, and boom, got to go way back up to almost 700, 800 watts. Just trying to get back on. But let's take a second now. Let's jump back into lap 8 and 9 when things really go off. All right, so here we go, entering into lap 8 of this course. And as you can see, my heart rate is already up. It's not anything crazy. For me, the 180 to 185 range is really the danger zone. But you're about to see that we're about to start really racing in the next couple laps. Once again, this is just a really hard race, and you can see already the power numbers are a lot lower than they were a couple of laps ago. Still doing big power, 650, trying to hold it. This lap was around a 440 for the climb portion. And this guy managed just to attack off the front. You can see it now, everybody's going. This guy launches this attack, but we bring him back pretty quickly. I know that I can't be the one to do that, so I do my sag climb successfully, and now I'm sitting in the wheels trying to recover as much as possible. But you can see even up until this little downhill section, we're still pushing watts trying to get recovered again. We speed up. I'm still sitting in, feeling good. This rider on the left is a lapped rider. Once again, trying to take as much free speed as I can, not pulling the brakes wherever possible. But like I said, it's just a really challenging race. There's really no reprieve with all of us Cat 5s. We did not ride this particularly smoothly. In fact, it was really challenging how much we were surging all the time, trying to get in and out and in and out. But at this point, I'm really feeling it. My legs feel bad. And honestly, the heat was a lot bigger of a factor than I really could have predicted. Overall, as you can see, like, it's almost 105 degrees now at this point. And even though we're getting this downhill breeze, it feels terrible to just be on this course right now. Didn't bring any bottles of water on the bike because I didn't feel like I would need to drink, and I kind of regretted that now. This is one of the only laps that I take a decent line, but I don't start pedaling early enough that I still end up having to do a decent effort to catch up. But as you can see, everyone accelerates. I wasn't ready for the acceleration. I ended up still, despite doing my first good line of this race, still not taking a decent line. And still not having to do that work in the first place. So, like I said, all of those are going to add up. And as you can see, my heart rate is now kicked into the 180 range. So we are now officially in the danger zone. But we're only 2 laps from the finish. And this is where it's going to all go wrong for me. If you look at this guy in the blue, he's been riding strong most of the day. And I guess I probably should have known, based on how he pinned his numbers, that I shouldn't have been following his wheel. But you're about to figure out what was kind of the deciding factor in this race, barring all of my mistakes. So as we go up this climb, we're surging one last time. Keep in mind, it's 1 to go after this. So we just got to get through this lap and then 1 more. Hop on a strong guy's wheel, see him kind of slow down a little bit, and I move inside. Now I'm following this blue guy's wheel, and I'm feeling good. But you can see the gap is starting to exist just a little bit, about 5 feet off of his wheel. He's shaking his elbow and just absolutely dies. And y'all, I was so cooked at this point that the loss in momentum that he does bringing us over the hill, there's just nothing I have left. I couldn't bring it. I couldn't close it. I was just dead. And so you can see as the field just kind of drifts away at this point. Really devastating. All it would have taken was just hopping on a different wheel to be able to bridge that, or maybe just one better corner at the bottom of Crybaby, and I probably could have made this work. But alas, I take one last big stab at the top of this hill trying to bridge this gap. It's not insurmountable yet. It's only 5-7 seconds. And so I know I can make it back, especially if they decide to break really late, or break really early rather, on the downhill. So I'm thinking, all right, I can do this. I try to power through them, doing 300, 500 watts, trying to close this gap. But you can see now they're on the downhill, they're accelerating away from me. And this is where I seal the deal. This is where I make sure that I am absolutely not going to be at the end of this race. And this is where, this is what happens when you don't practice your corner. I come in a little hot, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to break. I come in, I take this uber bad line, extremely wide. Just like the worst line I'd taken the entire day. I think it was the nerves and the tiredness. Guy behind me comes up, and he's feeling good. He goes. But I'm just not feeling good at this point, and that turn demotivated me so much. So when they're talking about mental toughness in a race, man, there's so much more than just being able to put out the watts. Like when you demoralize yourself like that by making such a royal mistake, it was really hard for me to get my head back in the game. But that's crit racing, and even though I made a ton of mistakes, and even though I definitely could have raced this race a lot better, I learned a ton, and I know exactly what I need to do in my off season in order to get ready for the rest of next season. Once again, this was Chris Sheldon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really enjoyed it. Thanks so much to our sponsors at BMC Walmart Cycling for making this possible to allow us to travel to races like this. Guys, I'm going to be releasing more crit videos this summer, as well as some gravel races and some more instructional stuff to really bring you along on my journey about how I'm growing. So if you like this video, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead, drop a subscribe, hit that like button, show me you love it. Let me know what you like, let me know what you don't, let me know what you want to see more of in the future. Thanks so much. Bye.